Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Dominique, one of my subscribers, for sending this article. You know, there are a lot of people that still do not believe that the climate change is real, although we're seeing a lot of extreme things happen weather-wise in this country. I know the weather has been very turbulent here in New Jersey. You know, we have like cycles of sun and rain, and it just goes back and forth all day long. You can have multiple rain showers and then the sun comes out all throughout the day. And it's been like that for weeks. We have seen this. It'll start in the morning, you'll have sunshine and the rain will come, then the sun will come back out, and then the rain will come, then the sun, and it just goes back and forth like that all day long. And I have never seen it quite this extreme before. But let's get into this story. Searing heat could make countries in North Africa and along the Persian Gulf unlivable. And this article came out August 12th, 2018 from NBC News. The heat feels relentless. Temperatures here in August regularly tops 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And Sunday forecasts project thermometers will hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and this is in Algeria. The temperature spiked, listen to this, 124.34 degrees Fahrenheit. You see how high these temperatures get? But we have some people that keep insisting they are the Egyptians in a time when there was no sunscreen, y'all. And you see how hot Northern Africa can get. But they were the Egyptians with no sunscreen in these temperatures that go well over 100 degrees, which is not uncommon for Northern Africa. And yes, that includes Egypt. And that happened on July 5th this year. The highest temperature that was recorded on the continent of Africa was 2016, and this was Kuwait. And by the way, what they call the Middle East, that's all Africa. It's just the UK went in there and renamed it Middle East. That's all Africa. The whole thing is Africa. So this was Kuwait, and they reported a temperature of 126.2 Fahrenheit. That is outrageous. That is crazy. Which could make it the highest temperature on record for the Eastern Hemisphere and Asia. Wow. Now that is a hot behind summer. Now they're saying climate change could soon push an environment that is uncontrollable into one that is unsustainable, particularly in countries along the Arab Gulf and in North Africa. In the past 3 years have been the hottest in Egypt. Listen to this, the hottest in Egypt since temperatures have been recorded. But these folks want us to believe they survived in 120 something degrees in Egypt building it. With no sunscreen, y'all. Now, if you can't even keep yourself from burning in America, how are you going to keep yourself from burning in Egypt in 120 degree summers? Building it, right? With no sunscreen. Woo, if you don't get out of here with those lies. Okay, y'all, back to this. In the past 3 years have been the hottest in Egypt since temperatures have been recorded, said Ashraf Zaki, representative of Egyptian Meteorological Authority. All of the extreme weather events have really been increased. The number of heat waves have increased. Now, see, you know, now that I would expect in Africa. Humidity levels are increased. All of these issues belong to the effect of climate change. In Egypt, statistics show that temperatures are increasing at a faster pace. And Zaki calls the trend highly significant. He warns that if global warming continues on this trajectory, the countries don't take effort to remediate the problem through guidelines like the outline in the Paris Climate Accord, it could all add up to one of the biggest disasters on the globe. Wow. In the fertile Nile Delta, rising sea levels and a rising water table are already cutting into Egypt's precious 4% of arable farmland. In the worst affected areas off the Mediterranean, up to 6.25 to 12.5 miles from the shoreline have already become saline. The main problem that most people are talking about is the indignation by the sea level rise for the Nile Delta. There is another problem, saltwater intrusion. Wow. You know, boy, there's so much going on here. To combat that, some coastal farmers are building up soil to raise their land and switch to salt-resisting crops like rice. We are talking about billions of dollars in terms of losses due to saltwater intrusion. That's crazy. In Alexandria, Egypt, second largest city, about a quarter of the coastline could be inundated if sea levels continue to rise, according to recent studies. The problem with sea level rise and saltwater intrusion and the most impact of climate control you're talking about in Egypt, it will be mostly granular. Wow. Which means you don't feel it. In the muggy Arabian Gulf, which includes the United States Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and Oman, the immediate risk of soaring heat and humidity overshadows the distant threat of rising sea levels. An MIT research team determined that future temperatures there in the Southwest Asia will exceed the threshold for human survival if nations fail to rein in emissions. According to an MIT video on the subject, exposure to wet bulb temperatures above, which is 35 degrees Celsius, which is 95 Fahrenheit, is enough to cause the fittest to overheat and begin to fail. Wet bulb temperature measures the combination of heat and humidity to determine how well the body can cool itself by sweating. So, yeah, I mean, can you imagine if that whole area is all just becomes deserted because people can't live there? It's just too hot to live there. I mean, that is crazy. But I mean, what can you do? You have a lot of people on this planet that are telling everybody that this climate change is not real. It's not real, but yet we're seeing the fires go out of control because the conditions are dry and there's very little rain in certain areas. I did a story where they have 566 wildfires up in British Columbia right now, all going at the same time. And they said the conditions are so dry and they have literally gotten no rain in that area. And that's why everything is just going up so fast in flames. And we see this as well in California. Now you have temperatures that are so hot that it's getting to the point where it's humanly impossible to live in those conditions, and people may have to relocate out of certain parts of Northern Africa. So, all right, I'm just going to go down a little bit. We are now developing scenarios where we need to start to review our own regulation and law. We need to start monitoring diseases associated with temperature increase in order to bring these figures down. In the UAE, all residents, no matter how remote, have access to a continuous energy supply for air conditioning. A green building code mandates energy efficiency, and district cooling systems that service areas rather than individual buildings has cut demand by half. As temperatures spike, comfortable and even survival will hinge on air conditioning. The hope that many of those cooling systems will be powered by renewable energy. Morocco and Egypt, for example, are developing the biggest wind farm in Africa. And Egypt is also developing the biggest solar farm in the world. Yeah, well, y'all better do something. That's all I can say. I think by the middle of the century, having the range of 140 to 160 Fahrenheit more regularly in the Gulf and other countries is going to be the new normal. That is crazy. 140 degrees, 100 to 160 degrees. Oh my God. Can you imagine all the things that will melt out? I mean, things melt in temperatures that are a lot cooler than, oh my God. Everything's going to melt. All right. Harold Hawbaum, global energy and climate policy expert at the School of African and Oriental Studies in London. The demand for cooling will triple at least, and it will be the main driver of electricity consumption. He and other analysts believe every country should be doing more to avoid drastic consequences. We have the solution. We know technological. We need what we need to do, he said. What I think is people, they're right. They're going to have to just come up with their own policies and do what they have to do and not count on the rest of the world getting on board with climate change. I think sooner or later, they're going to have to admit there's a problem. Seriously, they're going to have to admit it. You can't keep ignoring stuff like this. How do you ignore the heat just rising every year? You can clearly tell, even where I am in New Jersey, the summers are definitely getting hotter. We had a lot of days in the 90s, especially in July. It was a lot. And like I said, and now the weather, we're in the 90s today. We were 92 in New Jersey. So, I'm just seeing more days in a row. Like we went through like 10 days at a time in the 90s, and I notice a difference. Even if people are saying that they don't notice anything, I sure do. I do notice that the summers are definitely heating up a lot more. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.